Hey everyone, this is Marsh from Consequence going over a Fatescribe guide. So the majority of this fight is kind of understanding how to deal with intermission and doing some basic mechanics out of intermission, as well as assuming where beams are going to potentially land and not getting hit. So I pulled up this first, and this fight it doesn't really matter what you bring. You could bring literally anything. Like classes with a lot of cleave are definitely good. Um, Classes with 2 target are also pretty good because of intermission, and I'll talk about that why. So like you'll see like destruction lock like down here, but it's pretty good. Um, but there are some DPS checks you need to make as well. Now with when we did it, it the comp semi mattered. Now with all the gear, I doubt it matters, but we'll kind of talk about that a little in the video. Um, so I am going to go to a VOD, and it's a melee VOD. Actually, before that, I'm going to talk about the setup. So in this setup, you're going to want 2 weak auras. You're going to want, and they're both off of Wago, and you should just be able to search for them and find them really easy. Basically, what these weak auras do is it pulls off an ERT list, just like Raden, just like Stone Legion Generals. And you use the start and end to kind of call the weak aura to when it's supposed to read, and then you use the import feature to set up the names. And the second weak aura puts a marker on people's head and tells them, a number or something like that for what rune they can run to. So the main weak aura, everyone, make sure everyone in your raid has both weak auras. And the way we set it up, and every guild does it slightly different, is one tank will always get the rune and the other one won't. So we just had one tank always go, and the way it goes is the higher you are on the list, the more of a chance you are to get picked. And usually the deeper you are within the room, like the more center you are within the room. So the reason you see all the melee stacked in here is because the melee have to do this LOS type of shenanigans and intermission, and it's just a pain. So usually you'll see melee here, and then range. You want to prioritize range that don't have amazing 2 target cleave and have decent survivability. But that's why you see like the warlocks and maybe the shout priest near the bottom, right? Because they can just slam intermission every time. And you see your melee up. So that's how we set. And the healers we always put at the bottom. Now, going to the VOD. He doesn't have the ERT node enabled. This is the only VOD we have to kill.
I wish I could know how big of an overkill that was.
So, this is going to be a DK. Because he is, 5th on the list, he should be prioritized if he ever gets it, because there's, oh, marker setup. You can copy this marker setup here. Where the runes end is always 100% in the same spot. So we marked where they're going to end. They end here, 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 here. There's one probably over here. A lot of guilds was marking a line, and I think that's really bad. Okay, so another thing to note on this fight is paladins are absolutely busted, and we only had 2, which kind of sucked. And the reason for that is because the paladins can clear orbs with freedom. And yes, other classes can immune soak orbs, but freedom is very short cooldown and very easy to execute. So our pallies will clear them, especially intermission. Now here, you're going to spread out the orbs, very basic. And the tank is going to take this ad, and he's going to run out. He's going to drop it right in the middle of the room. DK is going to chains it. Yep. And now just like heroic, when the beams come out, you just want to get to the side of one, and you'll always live that way. Um, and then basically we just kite. Okay, next mechanic. So these runes are coming out, all right, and we wiped to this way too many times, and I've seen other guilds wipe to it a lot too. Um, and you, it looks like the thing on Remnant that you dispel if it's yours. I don't know if he gets it here, but everyone needs to stand on that rune and then stay there until it blows up. So I don't think he gets one. Clearly he doesn't. But you wait until you take the damage or it blows up, and it also blows up. It doesn't all blow up at the same time. It blows up Stone Legion General style, so you have to wait until yours blows up. Anyway, ads come out. I recommend setting up some type of like stun CC order for them. It's just unavoidable damage. And then the next guy over here, he's taking it over the skull. Next tank. And you're gonna get bombs, and the bombs are just gonna go, here. And then this is like the first combo, right? Because this is easy for the main group, but these guys need to be thinking where they're gonna be safe. I bet he immuned, but I could tell instantly because like you have to know the pattern, right? Because this pattern's always gonna be like that. So that guy had to use something to live. And that's what also wipes a lot of guilds, is not knowing to deal with that. Anyway, he transitions here at 70. Now at 72.5 he'll stop doing like big mechanics, and a lot of guilds will try to push before the Twist of Fate cast. With your gear, don't worry about it. Just make sure this ad dies before you transition. Don't worry about the Twist of Fate cast, and go. Alright, so you have the rune here, and he has purple 3, so he knows that that's what he's going to have to do. And now there's two things that are happening. One, it's actually really good that he did this. I was about to talk about this. Let's go back. So the ads are not interruptible in Mythic, and 40 yards they will do a pulse, which is why the melee kind of have to use this weird LOS thing, and we'll talk about it if he doesn't get a rune. But the ads are coming out from around the room, and you want like MDs and Trixes on them, so he's gonna probably look for it, or maybe he just got lucky. We'll see. So he knows he's going to 3. Okay, he totally looked for it. So he sees the ad here. Now this ad's about to do a cast, and it's a 40-yard cast. So or was it 20 yards? It might be 25 yards. So see how he's LOSing? Or not LOSing, he's getting out of range before he goes to his rune. So this is actually really, really good play by him. And I know we talked about this a lot when we were doing it, because now he shouldn't get hit. He did get hit by this one, which, I mean, this is unavoidable, right? Because, like, this is literally right here. But he can't, like, if he was standing here, he did double hit. So he's definitely avoiding one, which is good. And he's not going too far away from his rune. And now to do these runes, there's a few things to note, and a lot of guilds don't know this. A lot of guilds just step on them and start moving them. In Mythic, you never need 2 people, except for maybe the last set. So once the LOS explosion goes off, I'm in comms saying get on your runes in 3, 2, 1. So it went off, and I'm probably here going 3, 2, 1, get on. These beams do an absolute shit ton of damage, and if you just get on them whenever you want, you might like kill someone basically. Also, another reason why you want the tank in the middle is because they're absorbing a lot of orbs. And if you notice, your 2 holy paladins are in the middle, spamming freedom on themselves and clearing orbs, and we'll go to the replay and see that. So you see like the holy paladins, they're like healing people and then clearing orbs. So, and then our disc and resto shaman are doing the raid healing. So it's kind of weird, right? Because our resto druid's out here too. So we have our paladins clearing our rest, doing primary intermission healing, and these two healers healing the main group. And now another thing to notice about these orbs is if you run into a situation. I went back all the way in the VOD like an idiot. It's gonna be easy to get back there though. So if you run into a situation like this, all right, let's say this orb was here and it was coming in. If you dodge inside, you'll run into your own beam, and that's what a lot of people don't know. When you go in and out of an orb, you always want to dodge on the outside of it. So he doesn't have to do anything here. He might have to do something here. He's thinking about it. He might have to do something here. He's thinking about it. But you always have to dodge on the outside. And a lot of people will just like dodge inside, pick up like 4 stacks, and then like ask how they're possibly dying without heals when it's their fault because they're getting hit by the beam. Anyway, if everyone steps on at the same time and you're coordinated, you'll be fine, and you're good to go. And I'm not talking about the freedom thing again because that is absolutely critical, and a lot of guilds don't abuse it enough, and then we'll just like get overwhelmed by balls. Look at the freedom casts on himself, trying to clear orbs. Very hard job. So keep that in mind. And also one thing to note is the guy at number 6 here, we always have as milking it. So he will get the orb to like, or the rune to like right here, and then wait until like 6 seconds are left in the phase, and then push it in. And the reason for that is you want to make sure you're killing the ads. So again, he gets this number 6 always gets it like here, waits, and then pushes it in. A lot of guilds just full send, which then the ads are still alive and it causes a lot of extra raid damage. Very important note. So we're in P2 here, we're finishing the ads, it's whatever. Again, this will be less of a problem with more gear, but we have to min-max these types of things. So bombs again. Now, P2 is where the quote-unquote DPS check people will say exists. And we'll talk about that in a bit. So, it's deceivingly a single target fight with a little cleave. Again, very easy, get next to it. Ad's coming in, he's going to chains it, yep. And then, again, the rune mechanic, he hasn't gotten it once, which kind of sucks, but it's going to be like this giant effing beam that's coming out. It'll be super obvious which one's yours, so you have to spin your camera and look. Again, add to the middle. You have to look at our VOD and things to like figure out where to tank the boss exactly. Me just saying tank it here is not going to mean anything. You have to look at our marks and figure that out in your raid. He's going to go out, and the ad's going to go off, and we're almost phased here, right? We're phasing at 40%. So bombs are going to go to the opposite side, and this is kind of what kills a lot of guilds. Now, the main group, again, it's easy. You can get to the edge. The beam group needs to think, okay, I know there's one coming through the mid. What do I do? So he turtled up just for safety, but it looks like they actually got in the right position, everyone. But again, a lot of guilds, they don't realize, like, they just see what's in front of them, and they're like, what about this beam that's coming at this direction that's going to go all the way across the room, especially the bow tie one, where it's a little wider than you might think. You kind of have to think about that, and don't be afraid to rip your immunity during that. And knowing that if your class has an immunity and you're paired with a class without one, to give them the good spot and you immune the shit spot. Anyway, this is triple beams, so we go again, but there's no bombs, so it's just heroic, and then beams again. And where a lot of guilds mess up is this DPS check. And this DPS check is the third ad. Now, if you push the boss under 42.5, he will not cast anything. So what we do, or besides Twist of Fate, so what we do is we make sure we kill the ad, push him under 42.5, then just kill these ads and the boss will passively cleave. He might cast runes. I don't think we ever did that, but he won't cast bombs or beams or anything like that. So that is the second phase in like the hidden DPS check of the phase. Um, and you see our comp. We took 2 rogues and the meat gang as in like an enhancement shaman with them to buff them up. So again, we're calling. Good, he doesn't get it. We're calling. What we get to our rune, we LOS. We go 3. Once the LOS goes out, 3 or line out of range goes out. 3, 2, 1, get on. Everyone gets on at once, and the 6th person will be a holder. So we mark here the LOS spot that I was talking about. And one thing to note, and we didn't talk about this, is the range are always positioned 25 yards away, and you can get a weak aura that tells you. So they will not get hit by the tank cast. And every time these guys cast Despair, he's AMSing it, but you can see that they are hidden behind this pillar. And then they're going to come out. And they'll do it again. So maybe he'll do it this time. Again, there he goes, because he doesn't have AMS this time. See how they're LOSing here? They're using this lip. They're not taking damage. And they're good to go. And again, the 6th guy here is going to milk it every single time. It's usually like the same 3 or 4 people that get the 6th one. And then here you lust, and you're basically done with the fight. I've seen a lot of guilds like have really low percent wipes, and I probably know why. But we'll keep going. So we get bombs. Again, you just spread them out in this back wall, but this is the easy set. Actually, I lied. P3 is a little different. So this beam's about to come out, so you have to know, like from his UI, can you tell me where the beam is coming from? That is what you have to say to yourself. Because, for the main group, it's easy, but what happens if you're this person? Right? So like if you're standing here and you just see what's in front of you, you need to understand that what's potentially happening on the other side of the room. Again, it's the same ad in the middle, like right, we're doing the same exact thing. So this rune is a little different. You can call 3, 2, 1, but it's fine just to instantly stand in it like he's doing. And it kind of depends on like what your guild wants to do, because like in theory, if you're instantly standing on it, then and everyone's doing it, it'll be fine. Now, I think in this set, if this was like positioned here, then you'll need to push it this way, and then you'll need to call a backup. But another thing to note is that the only downside with putting the tanks on the first 2 like this is he's a tank and he's assigned to go here. However, he's tanking the boss and the other one's kiting an ad. So you have to flex in one of your flexors to insert themselves into this, which we did. So we called for this guy to go. Yeah, as I said, I think if you have to push it like really far, you need a backup for this set, and I think a lot of guilds struggle with that. Anyway, so you kill the ad before the next ad spawns, and we almost wiped this. So, when we got here, we're like, oh, just cleave the ad down, and we'll kill it passively with CDs and lust, whatever. That doesn't work. You just make sure you just focus the ad, because you don't want to deal with this bullshit later. Like we had to like hard tunnel that ad for like 5 seconds, because if 2 ads show up at once, you die. And then again, you're just gonna get beams, bombs with beams. Again, you have to think, what's actually safe. He's fine. Yeah, he had Onk. But you have to think we're actually safe. And again, See how we're like hard focusing this ad down because we're about to get another ad? That's like critically important because if that happens, you'll die. So just know when you're doing your prep, don't be us and just like try to cleave on the just like kill 2 ads and then by the third one you'll be fine. And then this next once you kill 2 ads and you do one set of runes, the fight's just basically over. Because you'll ignore this rune set and that'll be it. So kind of the recap, really study the beam formations and how they can affect the other sides of the room. Know that there is a P2 check for a single target and keep that in mind. Definitely 5 heal the fight and assign your holy paladins to basically never get a rune. As you see, they're like it's them and then the disc priests in our note. So you want them to never get a rune, and then you want them to use freedoms basically the whole fight. Intermission they clear the middle, and during the phase they clear on the boss, and put your 2 target slammers lower priority. Tell the people that could potentially get number 6 to milk the cast. If you're the raid leader during intermission 1 and 2, after the out of range / LOS cast from the ads go off, call 3, 2, 1, get on the orb or get on the runes. Never dodge inside of the rune, you'll pick up stacks. Yeah, the P2 DPS check, which I already said, but make sure you beat the third ad. And I think a lot of this fight is just player reactionary skill, and the only way you're going to get better is honestly doing the fight, but I think you can kind of prep a lot of potential scenarios in your head as well. So just, everyone should know how to do a rune. Everyone should know how the beams work. And yes, you will lose people to beams a lot because it's very difficult. Just because someone gets hit, that does not mean it's their fault. They could have been pushed in that area. And instead of stacking 2, they just died, which is better than losing 2 people. So try to be patient with that. And, other than that, nuke 2 ads in P3, and the boss will die before the second runes if everyone's alive. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to point out in logs. These logs don't really matter because people are doing rune runs. So who cares? These people probably got 1 rune or 0 runes, and then these people probably got 0 to 1 rune, or they're not good at AoEing ads or something. So this is all a bait, right? It's all about mechanics. It's all about that P2 check. It's all about player movement. And the other important thing to note is the rune mechanic where you go stand in the giant. So I don't have a picture of it, but it's very obvious which one you need to stand in. And make sure you stand in it until yours blows up. Don't move out prematurely. Other than that, that's everything I got for you. That's Fatescribe. If you have any questions, you can always let me know. And I'm out. Peace.